Hey there! It is Wednesday afternoon, it's almost 4 o'clock. I wanted to tell you more about my race. So, it's been like three days since I did Ironman Galveston 70.3 in Texas. It was a half Ironman distance. The race took place in Galveston, Texas. It was half Ironman distance, so it was like a 1.2 mile swim. It was a mass start, but it was divided in age groups, so there was not a huge group of people at the beginning. Very, very windy conditions, tons of headwinds and crosswinds. And the weather was also pretty warm, but not very bad. We were expecting that the day race was going to be rainy. There were all different kinds of scenarios. When we arrived to Galveston, it was cloudy. The forecast said that there was potentially going to be some thunderstorms. So it was not very promising. Even when I went to one of these briefing meetings where they tell you about, you know, the race and what things to expect, they basically told us to expect to be flexible, all different kinds of scenarios. But anyway, luckily the weather was actually pretty decent. You know, the only bad thing I think was the wind. We ended up driving to Galveston from Colorado, so we did a road trip, and it was probably one of the worst road trips we've ever had for several reasons. One, it was a long trip. It was almost, so we left on a Friday and we drove all day, and it almost took us 19-20 hours to get there. So it was not fun. Two, I got a speeding ticket during that drive. It was like a very expensive speeding ticket. So, and it was my fault, you know. I was not really paying attention, I was speeding up. Three, I booked as a really crappy, sketchy motel or hotel room. Awful. I've never been the best with booking hotels. The thing is that initially I was gonna go with a friend, a guy, and I thought, okay, you know, we don't really need to, you know, just gonna find a place. I don't really want to spend a lot, and the thing is that, you know, it was a busy weekend. A lot of rooms were booked already, so I was not gonna pay like $200 a night for a room. So anyway, I found this hotel. It was horrible, horrible. What else? I started getting this cough like 3 days before the race, and it still keeps going. Now it's evolving to a little bit of a nasal congestion. I mean, I even went to bed with a headache that night and got up. I still had a little bit of a headache that kept going through, I don't know, middle of the end of the swim. So not fun, okay? It was a mass start or a group start, but it was divided into age groups. So basically we walked and jumped out of this pier, and we, you know, got ready in the water, and, you know, once the gun went off, we started swimming. The plan was to try to swim hard at the beginning, find my own pace, and kind of avoid dealing with other people and things that usually happen during the swim. So I started swimming, and I mean, several things happened since the beginning. One is I usually do bilateral breathing, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to do, and I just couldn't. I couldn't switch to that dynamic. It felt like I was only swimming or breathing by just using one side. Like I couldn't find that dynamic, or I couldn't feel comfortable enough that I would be able to breathe bilaterally. So since the beginning, that was a thing. And another thing that I started doing very, very often was to kind of try to find the next buoy. So usually my coach would say something like, you know, you don't really need to see or try to see the buoy. You can try to do that every 8-10 strokes, and I don't know, it was not easy for me. I would try to do that every 4 or 5 strokes. So I was looking up all the time, and then of course you get surrounded with people, and people start kicking at you and swimming towards you and all that thing that we know that happens during the swim. But something I have to say is I haven't done an open water swim in like 4 years. So this was my first open water swim in several years, and it really got me. I mean, I was not ready for it. I was wearing a wetsuit, and the wetsuit felt comfortable, so I don't, you know, wearing a wetsuit is always going to be not ideal, but I didn't really feel super, I don't know, constrained or anything like that. I felt fine. But the very beginning, around minute 8 or 10, I just got a little anxious to the point that I had to stop and kind of understand or try to figure out where I was, and right off the bat I got negative in my mind. I started thinking I'm just gonna quit, and that was, you know, pretty bad early in the race. And I was like started looking at for the kayakers, or you know, the people who are the part of the race support, because I really wanted to say, hey, I'm done. The funny thing is that the closest kayaker that I saw was not that close to me, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep going and gonna give it another try. So I kept swimming. I wasn't feeling right again, and I, you know, kept sightseeing frequently. My stroke was not the best, and I just couldn't find that rhythm. I was like, because I've been swimming a lot bilaterally, a lot in the pool, but I just couldn't find that rhythm and that peace, you know, that mental peace that sometimes you get, or I tend to get once I'm in an open water swim. So, not feeling great, but decided to keep going, and I made it a goal to find a red buoy, because it was like a bunch of yellow buoys, and the red buoy meant that it was a turning point. So I told myself, okay, that's what my goal is going to be. I'm going to look for that red buoy, and I'm just going to make that. That's going to be my goal. I'm going to look for that red buoy. So once I got there, I was able to turn around, and then I started swimming again. And for a brief moment, and for a few minutes, I found a rhythm. I started thinking about, okay, good stroke, good form. So I started thinking about my stroke and felt comfortable. But then a few minutes after that, I got anxious again, and I stopped, and the water got choppier because there was more people coming behind me. And again, I stopped, and I wanted to, you know, be done again. I was looking for some kind of, you know, race support people who I could just say, hey, I'm done. But you know what I did? I said, okay, there's a set of buoys, one after the other, that I need to keep going. Make it your goal to make it to the next buoy. And then if you feel bad, you can stop, you can quit, take a break, I don't know, but make it a goal to go and make it to the next buoy. And that's what I did. Really, the next 5 or 6 buoys were just like that. I found another red buoy, which was another indication that I was supposed to make another turn, and that was actually the last turn. Kind of was like the last section of the swim. So that thing really, you know, made me feel better, because I realized, okay, it's not that bad, I'm gonna be able to finish. So that last section was not that bad. So I exited the water in 41 minutes. Now, I felt fine. I was a little tired. I was not dizzy, and you know, I was able to pull my wetsuit fine. The two main big positive things in the swim portion was that first is like I actually was able to swim really close to the buoy, which meant that I was pretty efficient, which is good. And I say this because I usually tend to swim away from the buoy, and I'm not really good with sightseeing, so I've lost a lot of time. This time I was really close, so you feel like I made an improvement there. And the other thing was this thing about keep going, you know. I was not feeling good at all. I was struggling, not physically maybe, but I got anxious and I just wanted to just be done. I wanted to leave the water. I wanted to be like, I'm done. I'm done with this trip. I'm done with this race. But one of the things that really kept me going to swim was just, I thought about really my wife and my coaches. And I thought about my wife not necessarily because I thought, oh, you know, I love her, she loves me. And no, I was like, she's gonna be upset. Because, you know, it's been a long road trip. Didn't have a great time. The last thing that I need to do is to quit. And the other thing was my coaches. I just don't want to let them down. Sometimes in moments where things are not working the way you want, you just need to reassess real quickly. I don't want to let down my wife. I don't want to let down my coaches. So that's something that really motivated me. The other thing was I started thinking about establishing or putting very small goals. Okay? Don't think about finishing the swim. Just think about making it to the next buoy. So things like that. So 2 big takeaways. The bike was by far my best thing about the race. Funny thing is that you probably see my videos, I've been riding with a road bike. This road bike. So it's a bike that it's not aero at all. It doesn't have all the fancy nice light components. It's just a heavy bike. As I started pedaling hard since the beginning, I really enjoyed the bike because it was challenging. Well, okay, so the course is flat as pancake. Okay, so the course is not challenging. What was challenging was the wind. And I'm talking about crosswinds, headwinds, and some tailwinds. In my own experience, I think it was almost 90% headwinds and crosswinds, and maybe 10% tailwind, very little. But what I did was, the first thing I did when I got on my bike was I had my hydration in my bike, and I had some nutrition in my bike. I started putting in calories. So that's one of the first things that I did, and I think it really helped me because it kickstarted my energy again, and it really helped me to start pedaling hard. And that's what I did the whole time. I'm not gonna say that the whole time I was pedaling at super fast and it was all perfect. There were moments, of course, where kind of towards the end where you're tired, you get off the saddle, you stretch a little bit. But I gotta say, I was really proud of my bike because the whole time I was just grinding it. I was never coasting. I felt like I was like chasing something or after something, So I was just like riding hard, head down, and a lot of it was because I didn't want to deal with the wind, but head down, like I was on a mission to try to go as fast as I could. And I didn't necessarily think about being conservative because I've done that before. That I tried to be conservative at the beginning because I want to save energy for the run. Maybe it's another learning too. But I just went hard and kept pedaling the whole time. And there were moments where I had really high highs, and there were some moments I never had any lows during the bike, during the ride, during the bike portion. But I could feel that I was going hard because my legs were getting tired. Anyway, but it was great. When I arrived to transition 2, I thought that I was gonna have a good run. The run was like a 3-4 mile loop, okay? 3-4 mile loop. 3 loops, 4 miles each. And when I got to transition, I was feeling okay, good. thinking, okay, you know, I just had a pretty decent ride, I'm gonna have a great run. I spent a little extra time in transition, you know, and then when I started running, it just was bad since the beginning. I bonked. And I think it had to do with the weather. It was pretty warm. Right at the very beginning, I felt very hot since the beginning. First thing that I did is I grabbed I ran with a water bottle that had a bunch of nutrition and hydration. I started drinking as much as I could. And then I ran the first 4-mile loop, and then I stopped at the beginning of the second. And that's when I realized, okay, I feel really hot. How do I cool myself off? And again, I think this is another situation where you start thinking proactively, how do I fix this problem? So I made it my goal that in the next aid station, I would just try to eat, you know, not only drink as much Coke and whatever Red Bull, but also put myself, splash my head with water, with ice, things like that. And that really helped me. But it was not easy. I mean, I stopped several times, and that's another moment when I kept stopping, that I told myself, okay, what can I do to keep going? So I would count until 30. I would say 1, 2, 3, and at the end of 30, you're gonna start running. And when I started running, I told myself, okay, count from 1 to 100, and then you'll get a little 10-20 second break after that. And that's what I did. This is something that I've worked for me before. When I did my last Ironman Louisville years ago, I would start counting in my mind, 1, 2, 3. I would go to 100, and I would reset it to 1 again. I would start on 1 again, or sometimes I would keep going to 400, 500, 1,000. In my experience, when you do that, you just stop thinking about what's bothering you, what's hurting you. And so and I did that. I repeated that pattern the whole time. I would hit an aid station, I would try to cool myself off, eat and drink as much as I could, and start counting until 100. I would run 100 seconds, I would stop for 10-20 seconds, and I would keep doing that. It took me forever. It took me like 2 hours and 30 minutes to finish that, for an overall time of 6 hours and 15 minutes, I think. It was bad. One is that enough with excuses. You know, one of the things that really bother me the most is that I haven't lost the weight that I thought I was gonna lose by now. And why is that? Because I haven't been consistent. Haven't been doing all my workouts. And not only that, but I also haven't been taking care of my nutrition. So that's another thing that I need to do. So keep working on that consistency. That I've noticed that it has dramatically improved in the last few weeks. Especially because my amazing coach, I feel that she gave me a little bit of tough love, and that was kind of a wake-up call really for me to realize, you know what, enough with excuses. So that's 1. 2, nutrition. I mean, I haven't been eating well at all. Been drinking beer. Not good. And what is it that I'm going to do to fix that is been learning and reading more about, I don't really follow a specific diet or anything like that. There's several options like vegetarian, vegan, raw, I don't know, paleo. And I've been reading more and more about the paleo diets, and I want to give it a try. So what I'm gonna do now is a little 30-day challenge thing here, 1 through 30. I'm just following this program from this author called Rob Wolf, I think. I'm excited because today is exactly 30 days to my birthday. So I'm gonna do this 30-day paleo challenge thing. And I'm going to report it to you guys every week to see, you know, if I'm doing well, if I'm losing weight, if I'm feeling hungry, things like that. But that's the thing that I'm going to do to address my nutrition. The other thing that's definitely going to help, which I'm really excited about, is this. Yes, I got my bike. I got a time trial bike. So now I'm going to be using the right, you know, equipment. Hopefully be able to go fast on the bike. And another thing I need to think about is, until now I've been saying that my goal was to do Ironman Boulder, but I'm going to think about that a little bit more, because Ironman Boulder takes place 2 months from now. And I was thinking that I don't know if I'm going to be as ready as I really want to be 2 months from now. So an option that I was thinking was to maybe do another race like Ironman Louisville that I've done before. This year, it takes place in October, so I would have like 5 months to train for that. So that sounds like an interesting alternative. But of course, doing it in Boulder would be awesome because I have friends and, you know, family here. It's in the neighborhood. Not to mention that you don't have to deal with. It's definitely much more cheaper, right? Like, you don't have to pay for hotels, you don't have to pay for bike transportation, you don't have to pay for air ticket, things like that. But the biggest positive thing of this experience is this a spirit of never quitting, you know? I mean, do whatever it takes to finish what you start. You know, there were moments where I felt really low, where all I wanted to do was just sit. I don't care. I just want to quit. But you know, sometimes there's something that make you change your mind. And sometimes it can be as simple as you need some extra calories or need to drink a little extra Gatorade but I'm really proud of that, of not giving up until finishing what you start. So, which at the end, you know, it's what Dig Deep is all about, right? It's finishing what you start and go through these dark moments to just complete your goals and achieve your goals. So anyway, that's a little bit of a little summary of my experience. I know it's a really long video, but I'm really excited. I will keep you updated on my progress on this 30-day paleo thing, and also let you know how what races I'm going to pick, and also I will let you know how this bike thing is going. I'm really excited. So thanks again for watching this episode of the Dig Deep Chronicles. Please subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. Share it with a friend. See you in another episode, okay? Bye.